Hey guys, how's it going? So today I am going to quickly show you what my brain dead AFK fire wraith or flame wraith build needs to get up and running. I'm showing you some gameplay right now. This video is the short build guide. I will also do a long build guide which will be close to an hour. So in this video I'm gonna go over stuff very quickly, but if you want clarification or more detail, then feel free to check out the long build guide in the description below. Now this build can literally walk through enemies from around level 30 or so. The build gets up and running. You can literally walk through enemies. All you need to do is look on the ground, pick up loot, and then walk further. You can literally walk through enemies. Your minions will take care of literally everything. The only thing you need to do later in the game if you want to do more damage is either cast your Dread Shade ability on one of your minions, which will increase their damage. So Dread Shade is an area of effect ability which follows your minions that will increase their damage, or you can summon your wraiths if you want to do more damage. But otherwise than that, your regular skeletons, your skeletal mages, and your golems that you can see on the screen right now will absolutely decimate everything, and you can literally just walk around and pick up loot. That's all you need to do. It's a really AFK, really brain dead build. So one thing that I also really like about this build is the fact that it doesn't require a single unique to get up and running. You don't need any specific uniques for this build. The entire build can be done without a single required unique, and that's really something that is really important in this game, because there are some uniques in the game that only drop from specific bosses, and you can spend 10 attempts, 15 attempts, sometimes even 20 attempts killing a boss repeatedly, and then the item simply does not drop. That in fact has happened with me on this build. I've been trying to get Vessel of Strife, and I've also been trying to get Binding of Souls, and it is simply not dropping for me. But as you can see from the gameplay, that is no issue at all, even though I don't have the unique items that I would ideally want. The build still absolutely kicks ass. So I really like builds where there is not a single required unique. So as you can see, the build can really just literally walk through waves and waves of minions, to the point where you can literally just walk around, look for the loot that has dropped, collect all of the gold, and move on. But when it comes to single target DPS, this build actually does better with single target than what it does at waves. Like, it's obviously exceptional at clearing waves, as you can see, but when it comes to single target, this build actually does better, because it has no AoE to speak of. Only the golems, the two fire golems, do a little bit of AoE, which kills obviously a bunch of stuff in the area, but otherwise than that, the build has no AoE. So all of the minion killing that you're seeing, that's all of my minions that are doing single target attacks. So when you get to a boss, that's when the build really excels. And as I'm showing you here on a target dummy, If you know different builds, like from the other classes and stuff like that, there are some builds from other classes that can't even hit 100,000 on target dummy. Now here, my build is doing a single hit from a minion is doing in excess of 100,000 damage, and that's just a single minion. And since I have in excess of 20 minions all hitting for 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, all the way up to 100,000 if you get a high roll crit, that is a stupid amount of damage, since some of my minions attack multiple times per second. The Wraiths certainly attack at least once per second. So since you have in excess of 20 minions, that is going to be a stupid amount of damage on a single target. So yeah, this build excels at not only clearing echoes. You can clear a level 100 echo with 200 corruption in less than 3 minutes without even breaking a sweat. You literally just walk to the objective. It's that easy, and the minions just kill everything. But you will also note the stacks on the target dummy reaching in excess of 150 stacks, and that really makes the single target DPS of this build be really exceptional as well. So, as you can see here, this is my build. I am currently level 97, still progressing towards 100. I'm already, since I think I was level 82, I think. I was around level 82. Then I started doing level 90 maps, and I very quickly went to level 100 maps after that. None of this, like even this, is not required. This is simply the best item that I currently have, since it gives 200% minion fire damage, but it is not at all required. You can absolutely swap this out for something like this, which still gives a good amount of minion damage and minion spell damage, which you also benefit from, but then you can get a little bit more ward on this. So this is how you can absolutely run the build. You do not require the staff at all. In fact, the staff is not even very good. So what you want to be stacking on all of your gear is minion damage or minion fire damage. You can get minion fire damage on the chest. That's something that can drop on the chest. Like for instance, these idols over here give 67% increased minion fire damage and 55% minion fire damage. So you can get that on the chest. You might be able to get it on some other stuff, like obviously you can get it on a main hand weapon, like this one gives 200% increased minion fire damage. So minion damage or minion fire damage is very good. You could also go for something like this, which gives 157% increased necrotic minion damage. Your build also does benefit slightly from minion necrotic damage, thanks to Dreadshade, which adds necrotic damage to all of your minions. So minion damage, minion fire damage, minion necrotic damage, even though minion necrotic damage is not so good. Your increased minion health you should get up to at least 500. Mine is at 740. If you can get it up to 500, that is absolutely fine. And then you should also try to get minion health regen. Minion health regen, in fact, is better than minion health, because minion health regen will constantly keep your minions at 100% health, whereas the minion health only helps them not get hit to death in a single hit. So and then obviously you just need enough health to survive. So you can put some health on your boots, for instance, like increased health percentage or simply flat health is always nice. Little bit of health there. Just get enough health to the point where you see you can survive. I'm doing level 100 with 200 corruption right now on one of my timelines, and 1600 health is absolutely fine. You can also get increased minion fire damage on your relic, even though it's not a requirement. You can get a relic that gives you some more defenses if you want to. You just really need to find a fine balance between not dying and doing enough damage. So if you see that you're dying, then you should probably swap out a relic like this that gives damage for a relic that gives defenses, or like I said, do this and then you can get some ward. So you just really need to balance all of your defenses and offensives. Something like this is also pretty nice. It gives some nice crit chance. You can see there 8% crit chance, which is a little spelling mistake which I already reported to the developers. 8% crit chance is quite a lot, especially if you compare it with all of the normal crit that you get in your timeline. Like over here, you get 100% increased critical strike chance for minions. So that obviously is really nice if you have a little bit of crit chance on your items as well. But basically anything that gives damage, crit chance for your skeletons is nice, bleed chance for your minions is nice, anything like that, minion damage, minion health, and then just try to stack your resistances. Obviously your resistances should be 75 on all of them, so just try to get 75 resistances on everything really. And then ward retention is nice, but you obviously need something that generates ward, something like this. If you don't have something that generates ward, then you probably shouldn't worry about ward retention until you get the Vessel of Strife. The Vessel of Strife is an item that drops from tier 4 Julra. I've attempted it multiple times. I have not yet been able to get the Vessel of Strife, even though, like I said, it's not required. This build does not have any required uniques. This will simply be nice to have. So don't worry about ward retention unless you get something that generates a lot of ward. This does generate a lot of ward, so it will definitely increase your survivability, but it is not required by any means. In fact, I am level 97 and I do not even have this Vessel of Strife yet. In addition to that, you can also get the Strands of Souls. It is also a really nice unique. It drops from the Empowered Abomination on Fall of the Outcasts timeline. I've killed this abomination probably around 13-14 times and the item has still not dropped. It's really nice for generating ward as well. So these two items literally just give ward. Basically, you don't benefit from that, you don't really benefit from that. They just give a lot of ward, so they will simply increase your survivability. So like I said, these two items are not required at all. In fact, I don't even have those two items. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the entire build for the gear. I will just quickly hover over my items so that you can see what my current items are. My current items are not good. They are not at all ideal. Like on my gloves, I have freeze rate multiplier, which I do not benefit from in the slightest. Also on this, I have increased damage over time, which I also do not benefit from. On this, I don't even have a fourth affix or suffix. So you can see my gear is really quite bad right now, even though I am able to do all of the content in the game. Then these ones are really good. Increased minion fire damage, increased minion fire damage. Something like this is also good. Increased minion fire damage and health. This one gives ward retention and health. These two are required, so you need to find two of these that changes your normal Wraith into a flame Wraith. I picked up 2 of these around level 60. So I went through the entire game with normal Wraiths, normal Minion Wraiths, until I found these 2 at around level 60. So you can absolutely make it all the way to level 60, all the way till end game, without having the Flame Wraiths even enabled. So that is it for all of the gear. I will just quickly give you a quick look at all of my stats. When I have this other staff, you can see that my minion fire damage is at over 1000%. So that is the level that I am at currently. Even though you don't need to go that high, you can absolutely get more defenses instead of trying to push for 1000 flame damage. And then we will quickly look over the passives. I will not go in depth on these passives. If you want to get my meaning and opinion on the passives, simply look at the longer video in the description below, where I go in depth into all of the passives and my choices behind the passives. Even though the passives are very flexible, extremely flexible, you don't need to get hardly 50% of this stuff. You can go into more skeletons if you want to over here, more skeletons if you want to over here. It is really quite flexible. And then also this part is not flexible. This is the only thing that's really not flexible. You must have skeletons, must have mage skeletons, basically must have golems. You obviously must have dread shades, otherwise the build doesn't do a lot of damage. Well, it does do a lot of damage, but it will not do as much damage. And then summon wraiths are also required. So this is how I built the skeletons. Once again, I will not go into why I built it this way. If you want to know why I built it this way, then you need to watch the longer video in the description below. Basically, you transform your mages into fire mages. You transform your your normal dudes into non-warriors, so you can't summon warriors, you can only summon bow dudes, and then you just allow them to shoot fire arrows every now and then. And then your golems you turn into fire golems, and you put on hunger. That really helps you stay alive. And then with the wraiths, you just basically go for a lot of damage, a lot of health decay reduced. So with this current setup, my wraiths stay alive for around 15 to 16 seconds, which is pretty good. You can also, if you don't want to do the mapping speed, which I can do, if you want to do more single target DPS, more boss DPS, then you can absolutely select Locust of Death. That will increase the damage of your wraiths, but will not allow them to move. But fortunately, the flame wraiths are ranged. They do ranged attacks, so that doesn't really affect them too much. But like I say, it does reduce the speed at which you can do mapping. So I do mapping without making them stationary. And then the Dread Shade just adds a lot of damage to the build. It also makes your minions weaker. It makes them take more damage, but that, like, as you can see from the video, like, it honestly does not hardly affect them. If you have the 500 plus minion health and you have minion health regen, then your minions hardly ever die. They will only really die if they stand in a persistent damage source. Otherwise, they honestly will not die. And then, yeah, I go into more depth in the longer video, but you can also get a lot of benefits from other classes, especially the Paladin class, the Paladin specialization of Sentinel, because he has 2 different auras which can give a lot of benefits to your minions. So if you want your minions to do even more damage and have even more resistances, then definitely you would want a paladin in your team. So perhaps if you and a friend are gonna play, one of you can play this build and another one can play a paladin build. Paladins can do a lot of damage on their own, and then obviously on top of that they can also give the auras to you and all of your minions, which is also really nice. The Primalist as well has wolves, which can do a shout, and then the shout will buff all of your minions as well. And yeah guys, honestly that is pretty much the entire build. As I said, if you want more tips and tricks, check out the longer video. This video is meant to just be a short overview and give you the finite information that you would need to get this build up and running. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the description below. So yeah guys, that will be it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the build.